Welcome to the green room.
Thanks.
Dixie, I'm so happy you did this finally.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it means so much to me. And this is just an important thing, obviously, talking about mental health. And it's just, and I love you. So welcome. And we're in Nashville. So that's a special edition. I haven't been in Nashville doing it before. So we love that. Okay, Angie, do you want to take it over?
Yeah, let me get you guys introduced. And again, welcome to the green room, everyone.
Thanks, Angie.
Our amazing guest, thank you so much for joining us, Dixie D'Amelio, who is literally a girl who can do everything. Dixie, as a musician, has over 625 million streams plus to date, has a social media following of over 100 million, has a successful TV show on Hulu with her family, The D'Amelio Show, has her own clothing brand with Hollister, Social Tourist, and who has brand partnerships with Puma, Valentino, Burberry, and more. Dixie launched her music career in 2020 with her first single, Be Happy, and within a week landed on the US Top 40 and Billboard's Top Triller US chart and has over 300 million streams to date. In 2021, Dixie released Fuck Boy, which crowned her as the first artist to land 3 number ones on Billboard's Top Triller US chart and embarked on her first tour as she joined iHeartRadio's Jingle Ball at all 10 stops. Dixie has been awarded Billboard Chart Breaker in late 2020 and has won Favorite Social Media Star at the 2022 Kids' Choice Awards. In June 2022, Dixie released her debut album, A Letter to Me. In the fashion which obviously Jenna worked a lot on with Dixie.
Yay!
Going on for Dixie, in the fashion world, she attended 2021's Met Gala with Valentino and has been featured in fashion spreads with Harper's Bazaar, Paper, V Magazine, Perfect Magazine, Flaunt, High Snobiety, and many more. She has had campaigns with Valentino, Ralph Lauren, Burberry, Puma, and has collaborated with brands such as Chanel and Versace. Dixie is one of the top 10 most followed creators on TikTok and was named one of YouTube's top 10 breakout creators of 2020 with one of the fastest growing channels globally.
Wow, Dixie.
Her entrepreneurship combined with her influence on social media has earned her coveted spots on Forbes 30 Under 30 and Forbes Top Creator list as well, Adweek's Young Influentials, and Variety's Power of Young Hollywood Impact list.
Wow, okay. We love to see that. That's so sick. I mean, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Mm-hmm. Seriously, you got to do it all these days.
Angie, that was good too. I love that.
Oh, well, thank you. I didn't write it up.
But let's talk about Janis next because we love Janis, and this is not the first time that Janis has been on the green room. So thank you and welcome back, Janis. But let's hear a little bit about Janis.
We love repeat visitors. Thank you, Janis, for joining us. A bit about Janis. Janis Whitlock is a senior advisor for the Jed Foundation and emerita research faculty at Cornell University. In her work over the past 30 years as a developmental psychologist, researcher, and public health specialist, she has developed deep expertise in adolescent and young adult mental health and well-being. In addition to expertise in program and curriculum development, as well as participating, teaching, and training, she is the author of over 60 research publications in adolescent and young adult mental health and well-being. Her book, she's an author of a book, it's crazy, Healing Self-Injury, A Compassionate Guide for Parents and Other Loved Ones, is dedicated to helping parents and other loved ones understand and compassionately respond to youth struggling with self-injury and other mental health challenges. In addition to her work with Jed, she works with communities, schools, and families to develop healthy approaches for supporting connectedness, resilience, and positive mental health and well-being in all areas of life. It's incredible.
Wow, Janis. Love that.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be here with you.
I'm so excited to hear everything you say and write it down for myself, too.
I know, literally.
And on to our founder, Jenna Andrews of The Green Room, and platinum singer, songwriter, vocal producer, A&R, publisher, and executive producer. Jenna has written and worked with such artists as BTS, Benet, Noah Cyrus, Jennifer Lopez, Little Mix, and Drake, to name a few. She has also worked with superstar producers 40, Diplo, DJ Mustard, Max Martin, Il Angelo, and Stargate.
We can cut that.
Speaking to just some of Jenna's work, she took pop star singer-songwriter Noah Cyrus under her wing, A&Ring her single July, and writing the remix featuring Leon Bridges, which has garnered more than 350 million streams to date. She has celebrated stellar success of the hit Super Lonely that she co-wrote with New Zealand-born singer-songwriter Benet. That record took TikTok by storm, being used in over 10 million user
I think you used it.
Yeah, I want to know. Did Dixie use it?
No, you used it. You used
I
it.
did
She
use
used it. I mean, I'll say she helped break the record, so I'm sorry. Like, here we go. Love that.
That record has also gone on to stream over 500 million times to date. Jenna also went on to write multiple tracks with Benet, including Plain and Winter, which made it onto her debut album, Hey UX. In August 2020, BTS released their first ever English language smash hit and now Grammy-nominated record Dynamite, vocal produced by Jenna. Following the release of Dynamite, Andrews also linked up with the K-pop superstars once again to vocal produce their remix of Savage Love by Jason Derulo and Jawish 685. And very, very notably, Jenna co-wrote BTS's smash hit Butter, which went #1 on the Hot 100 for 10 weeks, as well as their follow-up single Permission to Dance. So
Wow.
Incredible ladies with us today.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, this was long, but I love it. I mean, we're done. No, thank you, Angie. I appreciate that. I just like to do that so people have context. But anyway, yeah, this is just, it's kind of just a loose conversation. And I started this whole thing I think I told you this, but just because, like, it's so hard, I think, in this industry to have so much anxiety and be able to feel like you can tell people, you know, as much as you feel like as a songwriter and artist, like it's something that people talk about, but it's weird because when you're actually in like the room or performing, if you actually talk about having it, it's still kind of a stigma. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel when it comes to writing, it's hard for when it comes to writing, it's like hard for me to even like get into it and talking about anxiety, even though it's probably like the best thing to write about. Yeah. And I always do better in like a room with girls or but I know it's so much better when I talk about what I actually want to talk about, which is like the real feelings. But
that's the thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, I know that like people want to hear you talk about how you're feeling and obviously like feel relatable by saying you have anxiety, but I feel like when you start talking about it, some people still get uncomfortable with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I also think as a girl, and you obviously you just said it, but I think it's just so much more relatable because if you tell a guy that, it's just it's still kind of like they just deal with anxiety differently. Mm-hmm. You know? So I'm just more talking about in like a creative sense, I guess. And
but
like
also when you're in a room where you're supposed to be professional and working, and I feel like sometimes as a girl you have to be like more professional and
no, 100%.
And so if I'm walking into a room, I never know if like a guy would understand it where I feel a girl would more. Yeah. But that's because guys don't talk about it, and that's a whole nother thing. Like it's kind of sometimes when I do end up talking about it and I feel like the guy understands it, we get like really good work out of it.
Really? So have you tried that? Like if you
recently I have been more because I'm just like I need to start talking, and when a guy understands and like wants to get real and deep and with the emotions, like the writing is so good. Yeah. Because sometimes they do understand, but it's just like harder for me to talk to a guy about it.
Yeah, because it takes a second for them to actually get on your level in terms of what you're actually talking about. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I think for me, it's just once you let it out, and I think it starts to flow, especially in like a songwriting space, it's great, but like in real life, that's even harder. You're telling a guy about your anxiety, because it's just like, it just feels uncomfortable. And I think that obviously people are saying that the stigma is getting better now, but I feel like it's actually not in a way. I mean, it's in terms of being able to talk about it as a girl, because you have to, it's just kind of like, oh, you're emotional, but it's really more than that, because it's and as an artist and somebody like you, obviously, like with people, you having so much pressure, I think it just makes it so much worse, and it's just hard to be honest in that. But I mean, what would you say is like something, I know you talk about mental health a lot, like what's something that you've like, what do you feel like your main struggle has been?
I mean, I kind of stopped talking about it recently just because I'm like trying to figure out how I've been feeling, but I think I've talked a lot about anxiety, but I think for me, anxiety comes out a lot differently for most people. Like my anxiety is all physical, and so
Really?
it comes out in pain and like migraines and like knee
Physical pain.
Yeah, like actual physical
Really?
pain. Like that's how my anxiety manifests. So it kind of, I feel like I have trouble relating to people with that because it's always been physical for me. And but I have talked a little bit about me having PMDD, which I found out I have this year, or like the end of last year. And finding out I had that has been nice, but also very hard because like there's nothing really to do. And basically what it is it's called premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and
Wow.
basically before you get your period, it's like PMS but really bad, and like
Well, I definitely have
all
that.
the worst
I feel-
feelings. And yeah, I know we've talked a little bit about it.
Crazy.
And so my anxiety gets really heightened, and like depression and everything, and it happens like every month. So
Wait, that's insane.
so trying to figure out how to deal with that has been difficult, but I kind of I like talked about it in the beginning when I found out, and then I stopped talking about it because I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I don't want to like talk about it if I have nothing to talk about.
Well, I mean, what do you do when you were diagnosed with that? Like, what are things that you can do to help it?
I mean, there's not much that I know of right now. I just kind of like get depressed and then be to myself and then go have fun after. And yeah, I've been like trying to push myself to be social when I'm like feeling that way, but then it just ends up worse. So now I just like stay in my room. I don't know. I would love tips on what to do because I don't know.
Oh, see, this is good.
Yeah.
I was just about Janis. This is perfect timing.
Yeah, question too. I mean, I think a lot of the things that you would do are the things you probably do naturally, and then you expand them, right? Or you try to give yourself permission just to feel lousy for a little while.
Yeah, that's kind of what everything says online.
Really?
So there's like not much.
So is there any, like, obviously beyond like meditation and those type of things, obviously I'm assuming there's medication, but obviously not everybody wants to take that route. So is that really just it? Like, is there any other sort of strategies that you have suggested to other people?
I mean, I think probably the strategies that we would suggest for anxiety are the same strategies, right? So, and a lot of this, honestly, is really self-knowledge, which is what I'm hearing you talk about. Like you just get to know yourself really pretty well, and then you get to know what kind of works or what works a little bit. Sometimes you're just looking for that millimeter of spaciousness, a tiny little bit more than you can get. And then you work it to expand that. So whether it's breath, like for me, anxiety is very helped by just paying attention to my breath and really feeling it come in and go out and feeling it in my lungs and feeling it in my body. And I can feel my whole body relax. So I can take that and elongate it. So I'm like, okay, a little bit is working. Maybe I'll just use this practice regularly. And it has over time kind of just expanded my ability to be with discomfort. And I think that's really what we're looking at for a lot of anxiety related disorders, is just Can you leverage what you know about yourself to give yourself just a little bit more of what works, and then just regularly do that? And you probably will find that over time, it's not as bad. It just takes a little bit of doing.
I mean, I'd be curious to ask, like, in a social setting, for example, right? And you have those things. For me, it's like nerves and shakiness. For Dixie, it's pain. Like, what are things that you can do in a situation like that? Because yes, obviously there's like the practice of being able to go home and, you know, practice those things on your own, but like
Sometimes you don't have that
exactly
option.
So what are things that, like, just certain things that obviously for us but that other people can do in those situations?
Yeah, there's a number of things. One is, often when we're socially anxious, we've got a lot of energy sort of heading out, and we've kind of left our body in a way. So just coming back to touch with your body. So sometimes you can just rub your fingers together down by your side or wherever, and you just bring your attention down to your finger, or you wiggle your toes. So you're just bringing your awareness into your body, which really helps, and that'll help ground you, and that will help. And then you can breathe, you know, nobody has to notice you. You're not hyperventilating. You're just making sure you take, because that's the other thing that happens when we get anxious. We breathe way up here. We don't breathe all the way into the body, and it makes a really big difference. It really does. Breath really works. So if you can just make connection with your physical body. I love it if you can get your toes and you can feel your feet and your legs, like just bring your awareness there. And then take maybe 3 slow breaths that go all the way to the bottom of your lungs. Feel it in your lungs. Don't rush it, because so much of anxiety is like, you know, I need to be wherever I'm not at the moment. And then do that, and you'll probably feel an immediate small but real difference. And then you can lay into that. And then sometimes if you're really anxious, you can do you know, what I think of as sort of a mental mantra that opposes what you're feeling. So in the back of your mind, you can say, like, for example, if I'm upset about something that may have happened with somebody and I'm kind of ruminating on it and I just can't afford to go there because it makes me anxious, I can say something like peace, love, compassion, and understanding. Peace, love, compassion, understanding. Just saying that in my mind over and over and over, rather than letting my thoughts go wherever they might go. You will be amazed at how just saying it brings the feeling of peace, love, compassion, understanding. Those 3 things, bringing your awareness to your body, breath, and then repeating whatever words. I like 4 because the sequence, the cadence works for my mind. But any words that are what you're lacking in that moment and what you most wish for, and see if that works.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I feel like, I don't know about how you feel, but like sometimes when you say such like words that like a peace, love, like those words feel so not general, because obviously they're really big, but when it's almost like something personal to you, like if you could find words that kind of resonate, not that that doesn't, but you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like those general words sometimes feel like you're saying a mantra, rather than like, is this actually like hitting me? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you
Yeah.
you really do want to work for find the words that really work for you. So do that.
Oh, well, we should find those words. Wait, let's see. Dixie, what would those 4 words be for you? I know that I would hate if you asked me this and I was the first one.
This may be one of the words or 2 of the words.
I was like, this is a perfect time for a question, a pop quiz.
Well, I love that you said it's supposed to counteract what you're feeling. So if you're feeling like high stress, high anxiety, you know, antisocial, like kind of bring the antithesis of those words into your mind to then, you know, focus on the opposite. I love that.
Let's see. Should we put the I'm just kidding. No, we're not doing that. We're not causing anxiety. Okay, I'd be curious. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I can't.
Here's the question. How would you really like to feel? If you could just dial, if you could just plug it in and say, these are the feelings I'd really like to have, what would they be?
Chill. Yeah. I just want to be chill all the time.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What else? We need 4.
You go.
Okay, fine. I'll do one and you do
Yes.
one. Okay. I love it. She had to put it back on me. Confident.
I was thinking that too. That's exactly. I was like chill and confident. Like you could do 2 C's. Okay.
Oh, we like that. See, you're a songwriter all of a sudden. Look at that. This is hard.
Well, no pressure. You don't have to come up with it. It takes a little while, but you do want to get the seed feelings that you really want. And then by saying them, because the minute you say them or the second you say them, you're feeling them just for that minute. You have to call them to mind. So you're actually kind of bathing yourself in the feeling that you want to have, which is super sweet. And it really does help. It's just the practice is like replacing your mind wants to ruminate on something and you have to say, no, I'm just going to repeat my 4 words and you have to stick to it for a while.
Well, we can either think of one more or we could have homework. What do you think?
I need homework.
Okay. We're going to have some homework. I love that.
Those words are probably like self-perpetuating. So when you're thinking the negative thoughts, you're putting yourself in that state even more.
Exactly.
When you're in a situation
That's interesting,
where
though.
I'm anxious, then you're becoming more anxious instead of trying to be the opposite of what you're feeling.
Yeah, that's exactly
funny, though.
right.
Yeah, because I even saying that out loud does make you feel like, I don't know, like I'm not making this up. I promise. I'm like, I literally, it is. That's why I like doing this so much, because I feel like when you start to talk about it, and it feels more natural, and it's just it does make you feel better. You know what I mean? Because when you're like repressing it and keeping it inside, and you're not able to, it's the same thing as what you were saying about writing. It's like it's so hard until you do it, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, this should be easy. You know what I mean? Because you end up writing the best song or saying something that's like just makes you feel like there's something healing about it. So this is why therapy is good. Clearly,
our lives, the things we focus on, right? I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing, right? And it's the same thing for feelings. So you can, if you're repeating the negative feeling, even if you're not speaking it, but you're like continuing to visit it, you're just bathing yourself in it. It takes discipline to like say, no, I'm going to turn my gaze elsewhere and I'm going to decide to put it someplace that is like a little pool of bliss or whatever, something better, right? And then just watch. It's like, it really is like taking a bath in it, but it is a discipline because you have to figure out where you're putting your awareness.
well, that's interesting because that's manifestation. Are you a manifester? Are you? Some people aren't.
I can't imagine she's not.
That's kind of funny, right?
Both of you.
I mean, it's just because like,
I don't think I do it the right way.
but do you feel like it works for you? Like both ways, like bad and good?
No, we send each other the candle emojis and put words. I'm not going to give an example. And then more candle emojis and then just text them to each other and manifest for each other.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's worked for her. It hasn't worked for me. I changed it because it wasn't working. I needed to give it a break. But I had a little, I'm trying.
See, but that's the thing. Like she just said, like when you think negative thoughts, like I was curious about what you thought because I
mean, that's how I talk all the time. Like everyone's so obsessed with me. Everyone's in love with me. And then,
yeah, I know, exactly.
Yeah.
See, it has to work to some extent but Janis, what do you think about, like, because, you know, like, negative thoughts, obviously, like, do you think that can change the course of, like, what happens in your life in terms of, like, what you're feeding?
Absolutely. There's
Hate
no doubt
that.
about
It's
it.
so hard to control.
Yeah, and I wouldn't go, I'm not down the road of, like, only think happy thoughts. You can't do that because then you're not being authentic and you're not, all of the things in you need a space to kind of be and speak their mind or speak their piece. But the thing is at some point they're done. Like you need to say, you're good. I got enough of you. I got the message. I'm doing the best I can. And now I'm going to focus on what I really want to feel, which is whatever it is that you come up with, and just keep turning your gaze over there. And you get pulled back to the bad stuff, just like, nope, I'm going back to peace, love, compassion, understanding. And
more confidence and chill.
If it doesn't affect the outside. Yeah, chill.
Well, sometimes it's hard though, like, because if you can't just like say it, you have to actually like believe it.
No, you
So
don't.
that's
I mean, you don't have to believe it. You have to feel it.
Oh wow. Oh, you have to feel it.
Allow the feeling of it, like confidence or chill, whatever that feeling is, just hold the feeling. Don't worry about whether you believe it in your life or anything. Just hold the feeling of it, and then just kind of keep going over and over. And
I'm doing that tonight, by the way.
Okay.
I'm definitely finding my 4 words and writing them down. We have to do it. Dixie, is there like a certain moment in your life that you first felt anxiety and you identified with that feeling?
I mean, I just was always an anxious person, but I've had a bunch of concussions, and it definitely makes it worse.
No way.
I've had 15 now.
Wait, how did we not know this?
Yeah.
How?
I got one last week, 2 weeks ago. But yeah, so every time I would get one, it would kind of like make everything worse.
How are you getting concussions
My first one was really bad. I like fell ice skating and busted my face. And then after that, I just got like 1 or 2 a year for a bunch of years.
Just because of the first accident?
Yeah, okay. And then like random different sports. And then I was stopped playing sports and started doing like non-contact sports and would still get them. And yeah.
So do you feel like that was the cause of...
I don't think it started it, but it definitely worsened it a lot. And I was just always like, is everyone okay? Like, what's wrong? I'm always asking that.
Did you know that it was anxiety, or were you kind of like, I'm only asking because it's kind of hard in the beginning, like, you know what I'm saying, to identify what that feeling is, like in high school or junior high or whatever?
I mean, I was just like, always thought I was worried. I didn't really know the term anxiety until probably late in high school, and I was getting such bad like leg pain and had to get MRIs, and there's nothing wrong with me, but I felt the pain like, and and then finally I found a neurologist who's really good, and then was able to kind of say like most of these feelings are anxiety, and like it sucks to hear, but it sucks to hear because it's not technically real, but it also is real at the same time. Like, but sometimes I feel like in the moment I'd rather just have a broken leg than having to confront anxiety.
Was it like a panic attack type of thing, or just the feeling of just pain?
I mean, I was just always in pain.
Okay.
And I don't know.
But it is getting better, do you feel, these days?
I don't have, I mean, my anxiety is more situational now, and when like something happens, I'll have anxiety, but I'm much better at like being able to talk myself down. But then also when I'm dealing with the PMDD, then it's like kind of, I spiral a little bit. But right now I'm fine.
Did it make you feel better knowing what it was?
Yes, because I can explain it to the people around me, because it definitely affects your relationships with people. But at the same time, there's still not much you can do. And like, I don't want to take SSRIs or anything, so I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing. But I've seen on the internet, they're like, oh, she can party all the time now, she doesn't care about it anymore. I'm like, no, I just don't want to show. Like, I can't. I'm going to show once a month, like when I get so like depressed. I don't know. It just doesn't seem very.
No, and I get that. And like back to what Janis was saying, and also like what I feel like there is something to be said about even bringing yourself out of that situation and being able to, you know, whether you have those 4 words, but you're also putting yourself in a situation that is distracting from that feeling. Whereas when you're in it, it just becomes, I guess it becomes bigger. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think in that sense, going out, like, it always makes you feel better. Even if you're like, have no plans and you go down the street, it's just, there's something that kind of is healing about that. But I guess, I mean, for people, obviously listening, it's just nice to know, like, obviously, you know, things that you do, but it sounds like it's just kind of, you know, it sounds like you just kind of like, it's like a self process at home. Like, there's not much you can.
Well, like for me, what I had to do was try to fix my hormones a little bit, because I would get so anxious that I wouldn't eat, and then I would like lose a lot of weight and then miss my period, and then my hormones were all over the place. So then being able to kind of get everything on track was really helpful. And I just like I'll start.
And does that really help for you? Like, in terms
I mean,
of
it helps you be able to track it more. So I know like when I'm going to
Okay.
be feeling bad. But so that's been helpful, and that's what I've been.
is it
working on.
diet or is it?
I mean,
I'm not. You
no,
don't have
no,
to
no.
answer any of the. But like, it just probably be good for people to hear.
Oh yeah, from everything I've read and like what I've been trying, diet and exercise does help. I haven't started the exercise yet.
But you
Actually, I
are as of
started
today.
I started today. I ran
We love that.
up a hill once and down.
We love that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can I
Oh,
just
go
add
ahead, Janis,
something
sorry.
real quickly right here? So for listeners at home, I mean, movement is really important. It's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be exercise, although exercise where you get your heart rate up is great, but just moving. So if you can just, because anxiety is like energy moving through your body. It wants to go somewhere. And so if you could give it an outlet, even just walking in circles, you know, or
oh, give us a little circle.
go into
yeah.
nature or stay or be outside. And then also food is really powerful.
Yeah,
So if you're
food.
feeling anxious, don't eat crap, you know, just
Yeah.
really, I would really avoid carbs, sugar, all the stuff that
She's
we tend
like,
to do to
"Damn, the burger."
self-medicate makes it worse. And then sleep. You want to be sure that you,
Oh no, all the things.
I know,
that's
but
why I
these are
feel
the
like
things
shit
that
all the
really
time.
do make a difference. You can have regular sleep. I would get, you know, kind of down, decrease stimulation. That includes social media and other things that are just like constantly keeping you going. Those are the things to avoid when we're feeling anxious, and then also do the other practices we talked about.
You know, it's actually just going back really quick to what you were saying about hormones, though. Like, it's really crazy. Like, and I'm not saying that obviously this is not just towards women, but like in that sense, like I have endometriosis, and that's and we talked obviously about it. So that's a huge part of it, and it's so confusing sometimes whether it is. I mean, I definitely think we have anxiety outside of hormones, but they build so much into that together it's just crazy. It's hard to explain to people.
And I think that's what we were saying in the beginning, because it's not hard to explain anxiety to a guy, but it's hard to explain like hormonal anxiety to a guy and being like, and them not saying, oh, so you're just PMSing, and it's like, no, I like, it's
No,
not,
I actually
I'm
really
not just sad, like I'm not just being bitchy, like I actually.
I'm in it. No, and that's the thing.
So I didn't want it to come off as like, oh, guys don't get anxiety, because that's not true. But it's like getting like, oh, I'm about to start my period, and I'm not just like, I have no control over my emotions at all. Like,
Or
it's
your
not,
body.
Yeah.
And that's hard, like to not feel like you're in control of those things, because it's like it's like your nervous system, and that's it. How do you explain that without feeling like you're, it's because you're a girl, and it's not even to be like, oh, it is that, but it's just biology. You know what I mean? So
Guys have the same. They have they have equivalents of drives that are.
Oh, let's hear about it.
Right, that they're just like under the influence of, and just like and that women don't have quite as strong. They can probably understand that it's just a different flavor, but it's the same kind of compelling thing that just shows up in your body, and you got to deal with it.
Wait, I'm actually interested about that.
Yeah.
Can you? I'd like to know that. How is it similar?
Well, I mean, it commands your attention, and it overcomes. It becomes front and center, right? So sometimes men have aggressive tendencies or sexual tendencies or whatever, and it's just powerful. Like, it's just there, and they have to deal with it. I think for women, there is potentially a parallel there with sometimes heightened anxiety, or certainly PMS related kinds of experiences that we have. It's equally powerful. It's just it's in a different domain. So maybe they can understand that.
And somehow they work together. Sometimes.
Somehow they work together.
No, well, I mean, this has been amazing. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, or through your, obviously, everything that you've gone through, or Janis, anything last that you want to say, or Angie, before we wrap
I
up?
feel like I know what we talked about is most important is eating right, sleeping, and like exercise, or just even going outside. So once I do those things, maybe I'll come back and tell you how I feel. But
Okay, well, that will
can
be
tell
part
you-
2.
I can tell you when you're not doing it, it does not feel good. So.
Well, what about the 4? I'm like gonna.
words,
I'm gonna text her
okay.
and make sure she gets those 4
My 4
words,
words.
because we gotta do that, and I'll text her in the morning, and that will just be our manifestation. That will be our thing, Dixie.
Yeah, see how it makes you feel. I will tell you guys, as I said, see how it makes you feel and let me know. I will tell you that it does get better over time. Like age really does help, just it on the PMS front and often on the anxiety front. So just, I know it doesn't, it's
Okay.
She's probably gonna get a lot worse.
I mean, I have to say, like, you know, I'm not crazy old, but I definitely think that, because I think with every passing year, I care like less and less about things that I did when I was, you know, in high school or early 20s and those kind of things. Like, not only do priorities change, but just like your attention to things that used to give you, I'll talk personally, my attention to things that used to give me anxiety or keep me up at night in the past just don't anymore. And I'm kind of like, why did I waste all that time worrying about that, worrying about that? But you know, I also am a person and I still deal with things regularly. So I love the coping mechanisms. You know, when you spoke about breath work earlier, like I really, I love that one, because I've been trying to implement that one a lot myself. You know, just like the box breathing or the like 2 in and then a long breath out. You know, it just really changes the speed at which you're thinking and the heart rate and everything immediately.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
if
which
you
is
just take away
yeah.
one thing from this, besides the eating right and all that stuff, it's breathing. Because you'd be amazed, like how many of, especially when we get anxious, we stop breathing or we breathe really shallowly, and then
Right.
our body goes into a little bit of fight or flight because it's not getting oxygenated in the same way. So you know, and then it's like, things aren't okay. So just try breathing and see what happens, like real deep breaths.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
have
you,
you guys
Janis.
ever
And
tried breathing exercises or like been told, you know, that that's a good way to deal with the anxiety?
Yeah.
oh yeah, definitely.
It definitely helps a lot for me.
100%. I mean, even just taking one breath is like so, I mean, it's so calming. I mean, I think it's just practice, and obviously that's why people love yoga. So
Right.
that's another goal. I mean,
There's so much to do.
I know. And the thing is, it's funny because a lot of times, like, you know, people will be like, oh, you have like a mental health podcast, but you don't really practice it yourself. And I'm always like, you know what? The thing is for me, like having a mental health podcast is more about like relating to artists and people that I know that have the same relatable things, but also struggling to find an answer, you know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes you seek help in your friends, which obviously can be bad sometimes because you don't want to pour all your stuff onto them, but in which Dixie said it can obviously be damaging to relationships, but at the same time it's a good place to start. And I think it's just like, you know, everyone has their own process and it's baby steps, and I think being vocal about it and not feeling afraid is, you know, better than not saying anything at all. So
Totally.
Yeah, you have to be
yeah.
an expert, but the more we talk about it, the more we normalize talking about it, right?
Yeah. No, definitely. And so, Janis, before we go, do you have, you can send us this later too, but I don't, like a lot of times, for whoever's listening and stuff, if there's any sort of like helpline or just things that you recommend from the Jed side, that would be amazing. And you can send this to us after.
Yeah, we'll send
too.
it to you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. And before you guys go, I think, okay, so this is the thing. We give a fan a guitar. And usually the artist signs it. So will you sign the guitar?
Yeah.
Okay, yay. You can pick a Sharpie. It's right beside you.
Oh, cute.
You want me to get one for you?
I almost just banged you in the head.
Oh, well, that would have been great. Okay. Not the best angle, probably. Okay, so pick a Sharpie.
Look at all those colors.
So much
I
pressure.
know. It'd be hard.
Can you see all the Sharpies? There's like 100 of them.
I'm gonna decorate the whole thing and make a mural out
You
of
love
it.
that? There's every color in the rainbow.
I'm gonna do black.
Oh my God! She picked black. Dixie.
Wait, where do I sign?
Anywhere. Oh, make sure you're getting this because whoever gets this guitar is gonna be really lucky. And say some kind of like positive reinforcement or something from the heart. How about that?
Word, chill.
Chill. That's actually a good one.
Chill out. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she said confident.
I do always say stuff. I always say, I'm so chill, cool, clean girl. But I don't. That's what I say
Wait, that's
all the
actually
time.
really good. I love that. Thank you, Dixie.
I'm
Well-
not, but I say it.
I mean, but she says it's a feeling. If you say it, then
I mean, I
Yeah,
believe
you
it.
want to evoke the feeling and just keep going.
we love that. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate this. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
And
Have a
until next
wonderful
time.
night.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.